Hello guys and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be looking at a scenario in which Europe and Africa go to war. So this is basically just going to be Europe recolonizing Africa. For when it comes to the end result, it's either just going to be Africa surviving or them losing some land to Europe. So let's go right into it. First thing I should probably mention is that this is an unrealistic scenario. In real life, there's no way that all of Europe would go to war with all of Africa. Just for this scenario though, I'm going to be making it happen, and with that the Spanish make their first landing in Morocco. This goes quite successfully as they push around the Moroccan coast, staying behind some of the mountains and deserts that are protecting them. Moroccan troops do take back these areas, as I said, in their mountains and deserts, while the Spanish keep some land along the coast. Yes, I know, they're going through mountains. It's fine, the Spanish would overall be able to beat the Moroccans, even with a territorial advantage. With that, Italy makes land in Tunisia, capturing Tunis, which is their capital, and a lot of their coastal land. Sorry. There we go. But as for France, they're making a landing in northern Algeria, capturing Algiers, and let's just say, because this isn't all of Europe and this isn't all of Africa, these countries are pretty much independently attacking them. With that, Greece even attempts to make a landing, although this is quickly pushed back by Egyptian troops, who eventually make it to Tunisia and begin to push back the Italians. With that though, the Spanish and the French will be meeting up, and they'll also be meeting up with the Italians. This leads to a massive European force made up of Portugal, Spain, France, and Italy, beginning to push into northern Africa. Currently, it's only these countries and maybe like Egypt, Mauritania, who are getting up there to fight this, but with more and more armies on the way, the war is only going to ramp up. With that, combined Italian, Greek, and Balkan force makes a new landing in Libya. They push around, capture Tripoli, something like that. With that, they meet up with the landing that was made in Tunisia, and a lot of the North African coast has been captured. Egyptian troops do eventually arrive and begin to push back the Europeans from Libya, but overall it was still a successful invasion. With that, the red team continues their push down into Morocco and Algeria. If you don't know the geography of Africa for some reason, this is all just desert. So most of the population is near the coast. With that, after capturing all of northern Algeria, Tunisia, and Morocco, the countries pretty much have no power left. This is some more Saharan nations. So for Algeria, most of this land is being guarded by the Mali or Niger armies. Morocco, they're alive, but they're not doing great. With that, we actually see Spain continuing their push down the Moroccan coast, as the country is pretty much just falling, and Spain sees this as a great opportunity to gain land. They also begin to make some island hoppings, as the blue team navy is nothing compared to the red team one here. When it comes to army, it might be closer, but navy and air force, definitely going to Europe here. Manpower, technically it is Africa, but just because of how developed Europe is, how much better their weapons are, and how much more money they have to spend on it and to survive off of, they're definitely going to at least start off winning. With that, Europe continues their push down the coast of Western Sahara, as the country follows suit as Morocco and capitulates. They just continue their push down the coast, capturing Mauritania's coast, all of the Gambia, Guinea-Bissau, and a good portion of Senegal. We see all islands in their way being captured, and a push in being made. Although once again, this is just desert, so it's not going to give them much power, just more of a land grab, as African armies here are weak, and it's just more about, is it worth pushing in? Probably not, but Europe does it anyways, as they continue their push down the coast until they eventually meet up with the Nigerian army, which is a pretty powerful army in Africa. They continued their push into Burkina Faso and southern Mali, but overall they are stopped. With that, they continue to push into Libya, once again stopped by Egypt, one of the more powerful African militaries. They begin they don't begin to push across the Sahara, but they definitely begin to send some stuff in. For the record, this is probably not going to happen in real life, but a spirit is made. All of Central Africa is cut off from other blue team help, and with that, it all just surrenders to Europe. Europe didn't actually capture it, it's all just a surrender. With that, they push into the important parts of Niger, and the Nigerian army is being forced to fall back here. With that, Europe continues their push closer and closer to Egypt's important land, as Egypt is a big problem for Europe here, and they need to get rid of them as fast as possible. Cairo is captured along with Alexandria, the Suez Canal falls, and a majority of Egypt's important land. So yeah, just like that, one of Africa's strongest powers just fell. And it's not going to be good for them. The Red Team decides not to send too many troops into Nigeria and focuses them in southern Chad, as it's a much easier region to take. With that, they begin to push down to Cameroon, attempting to encircle the Nigerians. This goes successfully, and Equatorial Guinea's capital is taken as well. With that, Lagos is captured, along with all of the Nigerian coast. And after a little while longer of pushing in, another one of Africa's strongest countries is down. With that, Europe sees a breeze pushing down into some of these other African countries. The Central African Republic, Equatorial Guinea, Gabon, and the Congo. None of them are particularly powerful countries, and they all fall to Europe quickly. They tried to do the same in South Sudan, but with a combined Ethiopian, Sudanese, and DRC effort, the country is kept alive. With that, Europe continues their push into the Sahara, although they do barely anything, as once again it's just useless to try and push into the Sahara. They begin to push down the Nile in Sudan, and along the coast capturing Eritrea. They do this Nile thing until they connect with their other front line. All of Northern Africa surrenders. And, well, let's just say European troops are getting kind of far from home and are getting kind of done with this. With that, the DRC begins a massive counteroffensive of their own, pushing back up into the CAR, Gabon, the Congo, Equatorial Guinea, and South Sudan. They all attempt an effort to re-liberate Sudan, but that doesn't go nearly as well. They attempt to re-liberate Eritrea, which goes very well, and even get up to a bit of Egypt. With that, all that's left now. But with that, yeah, Europe has already taken a good portion of Africa and are now completely reorganized, resupplied, and ready to continue their push. With that, they take the CAR again. They push back into Sudan, capturing the country, back into Eritrea, and back into South Sudan, as most of the blue team's efforts here were quickly pushed out. Ethiopia manages to hold out pretty well, but the same cannot be said about South Sudan, as once Ethiopian and DRC troops are pushed out, are starting to be pushed back, they just continue to be pushed back until Uganda falls, same thing with Burundi, Rwanda, and the entirety of the land around Lake Victoria. With that, yeah, they're just meeting up with a lot of these important water areas down here in Central Africa, or Eastern in this case. With that, they encircle Ethiopian and Somalian troops along with Kenyan, and begin to push down to Tanzania, which is a much easier battle for them to fight. Now with the DRC having a much larger front line to deal with, the Europeans are able to push back down to Gabon, Equatorial Guinea, and the Congo. They also begin to push into more areas of the DRC, as the country is slowly but surely capitulating. It doesn't have nearly enough equipment. At this point, it's just been sending forth men with horrible rifles, and Europe's much better technology is able to capture their capital and most of their important land. With that, they begin to push down to Uganda, but the blue team will be making just about one final offensive. That's with most of South Africa's military, along with Mozambique, Zimbabwe, and Botswana. They push back into Tanzania and reconnect with Ethiopia and regain a good amount of land, although overall Europe is by far winning this war. Yeah, if you look at it, Europe's just gaining more and more land. With that, Africa's push isn't enough, as Uganda is recaptured, which isn't the most strategic point for the blue team, but it's definitely a loss. With that, the red team, Europe, just begins to push back into the DRC, as any amount of land that the blue team recaptured is quickly taken. And yes, I know jungle's up here, plains over here, but geography in this case, you might think it would work in the favor of Africa, but considering the technology that Europe has, if Africans try and pull a Vietnam and hide in the trees, yeah, first of all, that won't work in most of the savannas over here. And second of all, Europe has bomber jets, Europe has bomber planes, Europe has paratroopers. Africa doesn't have most of that. They may be developing, but their technology, most of all, they just don't have the money to buy it. And Europe has most of the country's support. They have all of Western Europe, which is allied with the USA, so they get resources from the US. And they have Russia, which is getting help from China. So they have both the East and the West on their side, whilst Africa has no support coming in. With that, the red team continues their push into Africa, capturing many more lakes and rivers to weaken the Africans, taking away a lot of their valuable water. They capture all of Tanzania and begin to push down into Mozambique, destroying any African hope of reconnecting with their Ethiopian armies. This goes horribly as Niamey, something like that, the capital of Kenya, is captured. Somalia doesn't stand a chance. Ethiopia attempts to hold out, but overall it's a slow push-in. With the fall of Addis Ababa, Ethiopia surrenders. European troops were a bit distracted, allowing the blue team to push back into Angola, which was very good for them, along with recapturing the DRC's capital, resetting up the country. But overall, this is not going to be enough to stop the Europeans as they push back down to the DRC, recapturing the capital, pushing back down to Angola. And yeah, that didn't last long, did it? Malawi is fully captured, along with a lot of the coast of Mozambique. With that, the channel, I think it's the channel Mozambique channel. Well, it's all under Europeans now. With that, they make a landing on Madagascar, capture any and all islands around here. Actually, some of these are French islands around here, or other European powers who still have them from colonial days. With that, Madagascar falls, Mozambique does as well, Zambia and the DRC fall. And the final African push is mostly just Namibian, Botswanan, and South African troops, sending in everything they have to try and reset up Mozambique and Angola. The Mozambique campaign goes much better than the Angolan one, as European troops were heavily in Angola. They push down and capture a lot of the more populated areas of Zambia, which you'd think is along the coast, but it actually isn't. That's a lot of Namib Desert, whilst up here is a lot of the cluster of the population. They also capture Namibia's capital and begin to push down, capturing Botswana's capital. Gaborone, I think. I think that's what it is, yeah. With that, European troops push down into Zambia and recapture all of Mozambique. Now it's just a few countries fighting for all of these. Those countries being South Africa, Lesotho, Eswatini, and Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is the first to fall, followed by Eswatini. And then South Africa can attempt to hold on. Their only chance here is how far away the Europeans are from their main supply hubs. But after fully setting up some bases in some African countries, and as I said, getting support from both the West and the East due to their countries, they are it's gonna be hard, but they push down to South Africa, capture Pretoria, capture Johannesburg, they then capture Cape Town, and the country surrenders. So yeah, let's go ahead, put in all the countries that get land, and I'll see you once that's done. So let's go ahead and see here. Germany's first up. Germany gets all of Namibia. of course. That's their old colony, along with Tanzania, Burundi, and Rwanda, Uganda, and Kenya to form a new colony, and one more over here in Togo, Benin, and Ghana. Also, this is going to bother me, so I'm just going to remove this little piece of blue that's left in Mali. No, just Mali, yeah. So yeah, those are the German colonies. Now for the UK, who's going to get a lot of them as well. Alright, yep, let's just go ahead and color in the UK as purple. That's how we're going to be representing their colonies. So you can see who gets what. They get, of course, all of Egypt, Sudan, and South Sudan, and also small, and yeah, that's, oh yeah, and South Africa, Botswana, Zambia, Eswatini, and Lesotho. With that, that's a good amount of colonies, but it's not all they get, as they also get Equatorial Guinea, Gabon, and the Congo. With that, the UK got a good amount of land, but they didn't get Nigeria, and they didn't get a lot of the land that they wanted. Actually, no, let's give them Cameroon and the Central African Republic too. Just because why not? With that, next up, let's look at France and what land France is going to get. They get all of Algeria, Mali, Mauritania, Niger, Burkina Faso, the Ivory Coast, Nigeria, and Chad. They also get, and they also get Madagascar, actually. And any and all islands surrounding Madagascar. With that, next up is going to be Italy. See here, Italy, you can be pink. What land is Italy going to get? Well, they're going to get all of the Horn of Africa. They're then going to get whatever's left over here, along Guinea, Sierra Leone, just here, what countries even are here? Senegal, the Gambia, Guinea-Bissau, Guinea, Sierra Leone, and Liberia. With that, not a lot. Oh, and they also get all of Tunisia and Libya. Almost forgot that. As for Spain, they are going to be this kind of purplish color here. They take over all of Morocco, Western Sahara, and any islands in the area. With that, yeah, they also get all of Angola and the DRC, because why not? Besides that, Russia's actually not going to be getting any colonies here, but guess who is? Russia isn't, guess who is? Well, you probably didn't see it coming, but Portugal is actually going to get some colonies down here in Mozambique, Malawi, and Zambia. So yeah, this is how Africa is going to be divided up. These are all the countries that got a colony. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.